Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We are looking at something profoundly moving today. We're going to examine this very specific, incredibly poignant 2-minute narrative. It's a story that really gets into the complex architecture of grief, the enduring nature of memory, and how a completely extraordinary yet simple act of kindness can entirely shift our perspective. Today, we are breaking down how this short narrative takes a really quiet, everyday setting and literally transforms it into a profound lesson on the human condition. It isn't just a story, it's a real exploration of empathy. So let's get started.
Picture this. Let's establish our setting right away. The source text draws us instantly into a bit of a mystery by setting the scene in a small, bustling family restaurant in Boston. Now, smack in the middle of all that normal dinner-time chaos, we're introduced to a constant fixture, a man who walks in every single Friday evening. He always requests the exact same spot, which is table number 7. And this is where the visual contrast really hits you. Table number 7 is a 2-seater, right? It has 2 chairs. But despite explicitly asking for this specific table, the man always sits completely alone. So right out of the gate, the source material hands us a puzzle. We've got a routine, a specific setting, and a glaringly empty chair.
So that brings us to Chapter 1, the Friday routine. Let's look at this scene through the curious eyes of the restaurant staff who watch this exact pattern unfold week after week. Notice the sheer precision of this guy's weekly ritual. This wasn't just some casual habit he'd fall into. It was a highly intentional 3-step process that he performed flawlessly for 3 solid years. Let's walk through it together. Step 1. Before even glancing at a menu or ordering a drink, he would gently pull out the second chair. It's a physical action that universally signals making room for someone. Step 2. He would smile at the empty space, a genuine warm reaction to something literally only he could perceive. And Step 3. He would quietly push the chair back in. He did this every Friday. Never missed a single week in 3 whole years. When you break it down like this, you realize this isn't just a quirk. This is an anchor. It's the physical manifestation of an internal emotional state that he is meticulously maintaining.
Which brings us to our next phase, an unexpected question. Because routines, no matter how deeply entrenched, eventually encounter a catalyst for change. And in our story, that catalyst is a brand new waitress named Lily.
She walks right up to table 7, and politely, but with a real probing sincerity, she asks, "I'm sorry if this is too personal, but are you waiting for someone?" Just pause for a second and let the sheer weight of that question settle. Imagine the sudden suspense in that room, the absolute silence that must have fallen over that little corner of the restaurant. It is an incredibly vulnerable question to ask a total stranger. Lily was taking a massive risk here. She had absolutely no idea how he'd react. He could have gotten totally defensive, he could have snapped at her, or just shut her down completely. The source material intentionally builds this tension, making us hold our breath to see how this major disruption of his 3-year ritual is going to play out.
And here is the heartbreaking reveal. Instead of getting defensive, the man looks at the empty chair, smiles that exact same smile, and answers simply, "Yes, my daughter." Now Lily's face naturally falls. She assumes the daughter is, maybe just running late, and she asks if she'll be joining him later. The man shakes his head and delivers the devastating truth. She passed away 5 years ago. But the source material doesn't just leave us sitting there in the tragedy. He actually goes on to explain the why behind the ritual. He tells Lily that every Friday after school, they used to come to this exact restaurant together. She would always order pancakes, even for dinner. He actually laughs through his own tears as he shares this detail. He tells Lily, "I know she's gone, but sitting here reminds me of the happiest days of my life." Actually, scratch the idea of him being in denial. This empty chair was a deliberate reservation of joy. And that leads us beautifully to a quiet kindness. Lily's empathetic listening catalyzed something truly incredible the very next Friday. The man returns right on schedule, as he always does. But the staff had clearly been talking to each other during the week. They absorbed his story, and they collectively decided to respond. When the man arrived and looked at the second chair, a small complimentary plate of pancakes was already waiting there. No charge, just sitting there waiting. And right alongside those pancakes was this exact tiny handwritten note, reserved for beautiful memories. The text notes that the man couldn't hold back his tears. He looked around the restaurant, and every single employee was simply smiling back at him in total silence. Think about how incredibly powerful that is. They didn't offer awkward pity. They offered solidarity. They totally validated his memory. They took his private, solitary ritual and quietly, respectfully joined him in it, proving that he was seen and that his daughter's memory was now being honored by all of them.
So here's the final takeaway. Love never leaves us. We are transitioning now from the specific narrative of this father and daughter to a much more profound, universal truth about human emotion.
Let's break down exactly why that is, and why those pancakes appeared every single Friday from that day forward. The text is super clear about this. They didn't put the pancakes there out of some delusional expectation that his daughter was going to magically walk through the door. They did it because love continues to survive, and it does so through 3 specific avenues. First, in traditions, the simple, repetitive act of showing up every Friday kept the connection alive. Second, in memories. Remembering those highly specific details, like eating pancakes for dinner, acts as an anchor to the past. And third, and honestly perhaps most beautifully, in the kindness of strangers. The restaurant staff literally became the vessels that allowed his love to be seen and validated in the present day.
Which brings us to the conclusion of our explainer, summarizing the whole shebang with this profound moral. Love doesn't end with goodbye. It lives in the memories we choose to keep alive. The people we miss the most never really leave us, so long as someone actively remembers them. It is an active choice to keep a memory alive, just like pulling out an empty chair. I want to leave you with a final thought-provoking question to chew on as we wrap up today. How do you deliberately choose to keep the beautiful memories of your own loved ones alive in your everyday routines? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable narrative with me. See you next time.